Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us today for the monthly forum. As usual, we would have updates from sponsored programs, accounting, and maybe there might be other offices of components of Office of Research that they might have updates. No, I don't have that list in front of me right now. But also remember, this is really your time to ask questions, exchange information with the colleagues who are online. And that always is a good opportunity for all of us to learn from each other. So with that as the background, let's start with the update from proposal. Kelly Gilmore, Associate Director, Sponsored Programs. Kelly?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I have a couple of updates I'd like to share on behalf of the proposals team this morning. The first is just a reminder that proposals team members do not fill out forms. Examples of forms that I'm speaking about are demographic information requests and audit and IT certifications that are requested as part of the proposals. Though we can provide guidance if the form is related to an actual proposal. So if you have questions about where to obtain any of that information, please feel free to reach out and ask us, but please don't submit a blank form and think that we're going to be able to complete that along with the proposal review process. There's simply just not enough time, and we're not in the best position to provide a lot of that information since a lot of it pertains directly to the campus department. The second item I want to let everybody know about is that last week, actually exactly a week ago on April 20th, NSF issued an updated version of the table relating to pre and post-award disclosures specific to biographical sketches and current and pending support. This version updates information specific to postdoc scholars, students, or visiting scholars, and it differentiates between research activities that are intended for use on the project or what's being proposed and those that are not. The table also updates the definition of honorarium as well. Additionally, NSF has provided more FAQs specific to current and pending support, and new questions have been added to that list. So in a moment, I will add links to both documents in the chat box. With that said, does anybody have any questions for proposals? Okay, well, if not, I'll be watching the chat box and can answer them as the session progresses.
Thank you, Kelly. Regarding the proposals, I'm sure our colleagues on campus see the huge activities in that area. So I want to just remind everybody that we need enough time to review the proposals that are going out, and you really want to give us enough time. The volume is huge. We have some vacancies that things are getting a little bit better in the proposal area as far as filling the positions, but we need your help to make sure that proposals don't miss deadlines, which means that we need to have minimum of 5 days review and so on and so forth. I know sometimes it's not doable, but we have to try to do that. And again, we haven't missed any proposal deadlines, luckily, but that's always a possibility when the proposal is late. Again, thank you, Kelly. Well, regarding updates from awards, typically Grace, who is the Associate Director, gives the update, but she's attending SRA meeting. So in her absence, one of the team leaders of the award, Jinger Snyder, who some of you are familiar with, she takes care of College of Arts, Engineering, Letters and Sciences, mostly. She's going to give us some updates. Jinger?
Good morning, everyone. So as I'm sure everyone is very painfully aware, fiscal close is right around the corner. Terry, did you want to share yours, or Perry, did you want to share the screen? Thank you. The second slide. So fiscal close is right around the corner, and our office is asking for you to please review awards that are under your purview. And any awards specifically for the state of California. If you could assess whether or not a no-cost extension or any other modification is needed and submit your request to our office as soon as possible, it would be greatly appreciated. As you well know, and any agreements will need to be executed prior to June 30th. Another update, on April 13th, NSF published a notice in the Federal Register announcing the availability of for comment regarding the upcoming proposal and award policies and procedures guide. The link is in the PowerPoint presentation, and Perry will distribute that after the forum. So NSF is accepting comments on the policy guide through June 13th of 2022. And the last reminder is that NIH is now requiring, as part of the demographics that go along with human subjects enrollment report, that ages be included as part of the information that is collected. There is what's called a CSV file that is located within the enrollment report that needs to be downloaded, completed, and uploaded into the enrollment report prior to submitting. And along with the handouts that Terry will be passing out, there is a tips guide from NSF. And I was also able to capture some screenshots for those that like to have visual aids of how to go about downloading the file and uploading it back into the enrollment report prior to submission. If you have any questions on that, please feel free to let us know. We are more than happy to assist you. And I think that's it for awards.
Thank you, Jinger. Any questions for Jinger?
I have a question that maybe it's kind of a group thing here. With NIH, I'm seeing more of the rules for NRSA attached to the awards. You know, you look at the RFPs and it's not in there, and then you get the award and it's listed in there. Is this something new? When we do the budgets, are we supposed to assume that we should be following the NRSA rules?
I think it's going to depend on the call, and if at time of proposal it's not apparent, then we have to rely on the award document and what's contained within the award itself.
So then that means that if they approve a budget with the student at the max, let's say a GSR, during the proposal, but then we receive the NOA and it states otherwise, well then we have to go by the NOA.
That's, let me answer that question. Generally speaking, the notice of award is a contract, basically. So whatever they require there is governing, even if it goes completely against what the proposal was. So a condition of accepting the award is fulfilling whatever requirement is in notes of award. Okay. So the short answer to your question is yes. The long answer is that they have the right to change things.
Okay.
By the time that they issue the award. That's generally the rule.
Thank you.
Welcome.
There's a question in the chat. Will NIH accept batched 85 plus for privacy on age?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I would have to look into it and provide feedback because this is relatively new for me. We would have to probably check with either the GMS or the PO to ensure that the report is compliant.
Any other questions regarding not necessarily proposal or award or anything else before we go to James from accounting? Well, James, I think you are up.
Good morning, everybody. I have just a small thing to share, a small amount of time to share something that's kind of important. Jinger brought up, we're coming up on fiscal close, and I don't usually use those two words together for another month or so, but Jinger, since you said it, I'll just go ahead and go with that, because as we go through this fiscal close, this is going to be our last, what I'm thinking of as our last routine fiscal close, like the way we've done it for the last, good chunk of years, decade plus. Last time we'll be going from KFS and into our final year of KFS. Following fiscal close will be a little bit trickier. Why I'm bringing this up is because we're putting a pretty strong effort into trying to get a lot of our lingering awards that are closed but not completely closed out. We're trying to get everything completely wrapped up and put to bed so that we can eliminate a lot of accounts and funds and everything from the whole conversion process. So this is just a request, a heads up, this is coming. Would you please, as you go into this fiscal close period, do your best, please, to try to get rid of overdrafts, make whatever adjustments are required if activity has still been posting, whatever it is. As you know, or you may not know, our office does have authority to take overdrafts and just move them off to a departmental fund source, which we don't like to do because that creates waves as well. But at some point, we do need to go ahead and move forward with that. So it's a lot better if you can go ahead and address and clean up any overdrafts before we have to get in and put it in a bucket that might not be exactly where you wanted it to go, and then you'd have to come around and fix it anyway. So hey, that's my fun item to share this morning. I see something popping into the chat. I don't know if that's for me or not.
It's for you.
Of course it is. And Michael is asking, will there be year-end salary transfer documents this year? I don't think there is such, I don't know UC Path in great detail, but if anybody that is in the know, I don't think there is such a thing. I see one of my folks, Nikki, do you know? Can you nod or shake your head? You don't know? Michael, I would recommend just sending that question to UC Path at UC Davis and ask them what the game plan is, if there's anything different happening. Oh, I see your thing at the end that says, I'm thinking not. Yeah, okay. I think you're right. All right, that's really all I had to share this morning. Thank you all.
Wait a minute, James, are you saying that if Jinger wouldn't have said fiscal close, you didn't have anything to talk about? I thought you had something else to talk about.
No, I wasn't going to put it in terms of fiscal close, but since she threw it
I
out,
see. Okay.
because fiscal close is also something that people don't necessarily relish thinking about, I don't think.
Well, it's fact of life. You have to deal with it. Okay. So any other questions for any of us? This is going to be a record short note meeting if you don't have questions. Anything anybody wants to share with others? No? Well, it is.
I have a question, sorry.
Go ahead, please, Maya.
How is Aggie Enterprise going to affect the Office of Research, or if all, how's, that fun thing that's coming up?
James, do you want to take that? Because Aggie Enterprise is mostly from
Aggie Enterprise really is the replacement of the financial system. So, there is the communication that we get, the feed that comes out of Cayuse to come over. I don't know. I don't know, Ahmad, is there anything on your radar that you've heard about coming that would impact you directly?
At this point, I am not aware of anything. Exactly as you said, our work is on proposals and awards, and we feed to whatever system is on the accounting side. There are some, I mean, there are lots of universities in the country that they have both of the functions in the same office. But here, as you know, those functions are separate. They report to different lines of the reporting system in the campus. So again, the short answer is no. There is, to the best of my knowledge, there is no change in what we would be doing from Office of Research when the IG enterprise comes in.
I can say that, you know, this is a large undertaking. We have, you know, a lot of folks in finance, CGA as well, that are involved in getting this implementation together. There's a lot of training and communications that, you know, there was that town hall a month or so ago that hopefully folks were able to attend and get some initial information on, and there's a pretty good plan for trying to get folks ready for that conversion. That'll be you know, a year and change before we get there, but that'll go fast. So again, a lot of what we're doing right now is just trying to get our accounts cleaned up, and I think that that's something that on the campus side, to the greatest extent possible, just trying to get all of your ducks in a row. That'll help for a clean cut over.
Okay. There is a question in the chat from Matthew asking regarding vacancies in research administration. I suppose it is both in the central office, as well as I know that there are same issues at the departments, that there are vacancies, and with the way things are these days in the last 2 years or so, that individuals can work from anywhere for any of our sister campuses, or for that matter, for any university. Things have gotten tougher, especially when other entities provide higher salaries. So I know that system-wide, there are efforts from OP to try to figure out a way to make, you know, the whole process better for all of us. But the short answer to the question whether there are things happening to address the staffing, we try to fill the positions. Sometimes we have to go out from vacancies that we have in our office 2-3 times, go out to identify people who would fit what we need and would have the background that we need. So that's the the observation from sponsored programs. Maybe other people would have comments on that, but that's what we are doing. I know that regarding the issue of the fact that the work is increasing and the volume and so on and so forth. I know that the leadership of the campus is aware of that, but I am, at this point, I don't have any news that I can share with you regarding if we are going to get additional FTEs. That is not in the budget right now. So I wonder if colleagues from other parts of the office or the campus, or maybe accounting, they have additional information about that. So I guess not. So Matthew, I hope it partially answered your question, but lots of those things are unknown at this point, and it's just recruiting is not that easy. It's happening exact same thing nationwide. It's not us only. Yeah, just know there are some other comments that departments have the same problems. Yeah, we are all in the same boat, and just again, the way I look at our office and departments, we are all on the same side, and we are here, all of us, to support the researchers. So if something affects one of us, it affects all of us. Brooke is saying there isn't a pipeline for research administrators. There are some training and courses, obviously, to make people more basically qualified to fill these positions. There are some, across the country, there are several even degrees being offered. But yeah, just this business is in its infancy, probably. So Perry, I don't know if you are looking at the chats, if anything else comes up that we have to discuss. Okay.
Yeah, there's some interesting exchanges, but I'm not seeing any specific questions.
Right. Thank you.
One just came in.
That's for James. It's a question from a new account manager. James.
Yeah, I'm taking a look here. California Department of Food and Ag, do you normally include purchases that are currently encumbered, but not? No, we do not include encumbrances as, if I'm understanding, the budget portion that's for approved and actual. I'm not completely sure I'm understanding, but if we're talking about what we report on our financial information, we only report actuals. Encumbrances are not part of anything that my office typically would be involved in communicating. Yeah, and Lenora just said no, only, okay. Lenora just cut to the chase. No, only actual.
Any other information that we can share with each other? Well, I know everybody's extremely busy. Everybody's working hard, so maybe it's time now to stop and continue providing support to researchers that we are supporting. Thank you very much for being here today. We'll meet next month.
Take care, everybody.